Hello friends, welcome back. Let us continue with our discussion with positive organizational scholarship. Today I will talk about the last aspect of POS, that is appreciative inquiry or AI. This is a very novel concept in the field of positive psychology or positive organizational scholarship, which is another strategy for organizational development and was developed in the area of organizational behavior. So, appreciative inquiry is a revolution in the field of organizational behavior in a way where the psychologists have identified that sometimes problem solving hampers creativity, it hampers innovation, it hampers interrelationships, and it hampers the process of inquiry. So, when we are talking only about problem solving in length, then that means we are just talking about some deficiency. We are talking about our needs, we are talking about our deficiencies, and we are finding solution to the problem. We are stuck to the negative aspect, and when it continues to a length, then definitely growth also becomes very slow. But positive organizational scholarship has come up with a novel idea that it can be a way, opposite way to think, in a way that if we are just focusing only on what not has been done, then we can also talk about what can be done, which can add more solution to the organization than to the problem. When we are bringing solution to the problem, basically we are just highlighting the problem. But if we are coming up to a point where we are saying that this can be done, this much has been done and this can be done, then actually we are talking about appreciating or valuing in a way that what is already existing and what that already exists can add more. So, this is all about appreciative inquiry, that how OB professionals have came to a notion that every time problem solving, overuse of problem solving hampers any kind of social improvement or organizational growth and development, and what is needed is new method of inquiry that would help generate new ideas and models for how to organize. We are focusing on problem only and we are focusing less on the solution, but if we are focusing on the ideas to how to grow beyond that point, then it is appreciative inquiry. It is a field of inquiry which requires intense communication, which requires interactions, which requires interpersonal relationship, it requires intense interviews where people come up with novel ideas, thoughts and patterns, that how organization can be more constructive while focusing less on problem solving. So, if we talk about this term appreciative inquiry or AI, then appreciate refers to valuing or the act of recognizing the best in people or the world around us, affirming past and present strengths, success and potentials, and perceiving those things that give life, that is vitality and excellence. When we are focusing only on problem solving, we are just focusing on the deficiencies, but if we are focusing on vitality and excellence with our new thoughts, then there is more growth which is more faster. And inquiry is act of exploration and discovery, to be open to seeing new potentials and possibilities. So, appreciative inquiry is a model that seeks to engage stakeholders in self-determined change. In problem solving, change is slow and we are not sure that whether the change will bring some novelty in the environment or not. But if appreciation along with ideas are there, then there are more future prospects, because there is more novelty and coming along with more solution based ideas. So, if we talk about appreciative inquiry, then it can be defined as a process which involves the systematic discovery of what gives life to an organization or a community when it is not effective and most capable in economic, ecological and human terms. Any economic crisis has evolved in the organization, then general what happens, that organizations start focusing on that crisis and how we can recover it. We will not focus that how that crisis can be overcome with new thoughts. Whatever economy has been stabilized to a certain extent, how we can grow up from that point, rather just bringing solution for which there is no surety whether that solution will be acceptable in that environment or not. So, accepting that crisis and then bringing solution to that problem is actually about appreciative inquiry. It is about what has been done and how we can move beyond it. It is not that what not has been done and then moving beyond it. So, it is a different inquiry. So, it is a cooperative, co-evolutionary search for the best in people, their organizations and the world around them. In AI or appreciative inquiry, intervention gives way to inquiry, imagination and innovation. Instead of negation, criticism and spiraling diagnosis, there is discovery, dream and design. Where we want to see, even when there is a problem, still we have a vision that where we can see our organization reach. This can only happen when we try to ignore the crisis and we are focusing on the larger goal, that this is how we can reach. If we are just focusing on the crisis or the problem solving, then we fail to reach the last destination. So, this is about defining appreciative inquiry, which involves the art and practice of asking unconditional positive questions that strengthens a system's capacity to apprehend and anticipate and heighten positive potential. Through mass mobilized inquiry, hundreds and even thousands of people can be involved in co-creating their collective future. Here, mass mobilized inquiry means that whenever organization is facing some problem or crisis or setback, then how members come all together and demand for a solution in a way coming up with the ideas. It is not problem based solution, it is that resolving the problem with some new ideas which can take the growth of the organization to a higher direction. So, there is a understanding that not focusing on problem solving, rather focusing on new ideas that can overcome the problem solving attitude of the organization and reaching a new height. So, this is appreciative inquiry, which requires intense communication, interaction and most importantly interpersonal relationship. So, how this definition of appreciative inquiry works on? It works on the accounts of positive core. It will never work on the account of negative core or aspects. This shift from problem analysis to positive core analysis, which is at the heart of positive change. It is not that what not has been done, this is a negative core. What already has been done and from that point where we can go up, that is appreciative inquiry. Now, how to go up requires inquiry, it requires anticipation, it requires apprehension, it requires communication, it requires interaction and most importantly interpersonal relationships. So, when we are talking about appreciative inquiry, it is a shift from problem solving approach to change management to an AI or appreciative approach to positive change management. So, earlier it was problem solving, that there is a felt need, there is a problem, we need something and we try to analyze, find out the causes of this problem. So, again the problem is the concentration. We try to analyze the possible solutions, whether they are working or not, and there is action planning in terms of treatment. That is how we do it. It becomes a ritualistic way to resolve any problem at work. But in appreciative inquiry, appreciating and valuing the best of what is, that whatever the best we have, we are cashing, we are banking upon the best and we are identifying that from this best where we can be. So, using that best situation to grow further and then what should be. Now, when we have decided to identify on the positive and from there we are again setting up a new goal, that where we have to reach in terms of efficiency and effectiveness, then what can be done. So, problem has been subsided and whatever the positive the organization has, which is sustaining on those positive cores, how we can use those positive cores to reach a new direction or a new level, and that is actually appreciative inquiry. Now, what should be entails that inquiry, that what entails the ideas, the thoughts which can be materialized to reach a new height or growth. So, what are the bases and principles of appreciative inquiry? It advocates collective inquiry, that is mass mobilized agents into the best of what is in order to imagine what could be, followed by the collective design of a desired future state that is compelling and thus does not require the use of incentives, coercion, persuasion for planned change to occur. Even problem solving we are talking about, there will be a kind of persuasive attitude that this is how we can do it. But when we are into indulging in appreciative inquiry, there is no conflict, there is no competition, there is no coercion, there is more correlation, there is no desire for any incentive. In problem solving approach, a problem has been solved based on the proposed solution by a particular group and they expect something in return. But when it comes to appreciative inquiry, most of the time it requires mobilized agents, which are only the employees from every sector, level and designation. They come all together with a new idea and then planning to bring that change in that organization. Change, not solution, bringing about the change to occur or they visualize. So, this is the base of appreciative inquiry. So, in 1980s, the most methods of assessing and evaluating a situation and proposing solutions were based on deficiency model, that what is missing. So, we should work on to overcome that missing factor, that is the deficiency model. But actually appreciative inquiry is the agentic model. It is about salutogenesis, not pathogenetic, that what can be offered to reach to a new height rather ignoring the problem. So, this is the idea behind appreciative inquiry that works, that what are the problems, what wrong or what needs to be fixed. It will never talk about fixing the problem, it is about how to overcome that problem while reaching or setting a new goal. So, appreciative inquiry is the first serious managerial method to refocus attention on what works, the positive core and what people really care about. We unnecessarily focus on the problems. Actually, people want to focus that when problem is not solving, then let us move ahead. That let us move ahead is about focusing on what already is there, what is the positive that exists and how we can cash upon that positive core. So, appreciative inquiry attempts to use ways of asking questions, envisioning the future in order to foster positive relationship and build on the present potential of a given person, organization or situation. Therefore, the method of AI comprises 5 basic principles. They are the anticipatory principle, the constructionist principle, the positive principle, the principle of simultaneity and the poetic principle. The constructionist principle, as the term implies, the purpose of this inquiry is to stimulate new ideas, stories and images that generate new possibilities for action, not problem, but action to a new direction. So, when we imagine something, we start working on that imagination and that imagination will actually makes us competent enough to work towards those ideas that we can execute in a very realistic manner. So, this is the constructionist principle that is completely based on relationships and completely based on intense communication. So, through the language and discourse of the day to day interaction, people co-construct the organizations they inhabit, that is they try to cohabit in a new manner within the organization based on new ideas, stories and images. It is all visualization, how you are visualizing your ideas in a very concrete, in a constructive manner. So, this is the principle, that is the constructionist principle. The other is the principle of simultaneity. This proposes that as we inquire into human and organizational systems, we change them and the seeds of the change, that is questions we put into, we engage in inquiry and we try to put up with those aspects of inquiry which are very much functional in future, and the system starts moving in that particular direction in a more persistent and passionate manner. So, that means ideas, passion, interaction and looking into that inquiry of the system will create a process of simultaneity. That means people are also in action, the thoughts are in action, and ultimately the system has taken a new course of direction. So, when these three patterns move in one direction altogether, there is a principle of simultaneity. Ideas, people and the organization are working in one direction in a very collective manner. So, this is the principle of simultaneity. The other is the poetic principle. This proposes that organizational life is expressed based on some stories. On our day to day interaction, we tend to exchange the experiences and ideas among members, and people tend to co-author those stories from one person to another. More positive stories are being co-authored, more positive ideas are being encouraged. So, the words and topics chosen for inquiry have an impact far beyond just the word themselves. So, they invoke positive sentiments, understandings, and in that phase of inquiry, people try to accumulate all those positive inquiries into one idea and try to inspire and aspire within the organizational system to take the organization or the system to a new height. So, this is the poetic principle, which is completely based on the stories which are being narrated among organizational members, how people tend to imbibe those positive words, emotions, they tend to enlive with those emotions and try to execute with the new ideas. So, there is actually transference, there is broaden and build emotions, that there is more positive repercussions, that one positive story or words will lead to another positive story and idea, and when we are linking those stories and ideas, then it is more weightage that carries in taking the organization in a new direction, and again not focusing on the problems. The next is the anticipatory principle. This posits that what we do today is guided by our image of the future. So, human and organizational systems are forever projecting ahead of themselves. So, whenever there is a problem we face or any organization faces, then under this kind of inquiry, that is appreciative inquiry, members try to project that what can be the another horizon to reach, and they set their own standards, higher standards, to be more powerful by mobilizing the agent. That is, mobilizing the agent here means mobilizing the employees' ideas and thoughts, and use that ideas and thoughts in a very artful creation of positive imagery on a collective basis to refashion anticipatory reality. That means, what we have expected to reach, when that has been visualized and it has been presented in a very artful fashion, that this is how it can be done. Now, artful fashion here does not means very much imaginatory or digital. It is about coming out or designing any idea in a way which is actually workable. That is anticipatory principle, that when ideas are being converted into action and which are workable, that is anticipatory principle. And the other is the positive principle, which is the last principle of appreciative inquiry, that how, while being flexible in your thoughts, in your cognitions, in your ideas, there is more spiraling of positive emotions. So, with this proposes that momentum and sustainable change require positive effect and bonding. Sentiments like hope, excitement, inspiration, camaraderie and joy increases creativity, openness to new ideas and cognitive flexibility. They promote strong connections and relationships among people, because there is no coercion, there is no persuasion of ideas. People are engaged in mass mobilization process, their ideas are being taken up, they are accepted and respected, and people are into more intense discussion while avoiding conflicts, and there is more collective inquiry and change. So, change is possible only, a good change, positive change is only possible when we are not focusing on problem solving, which is actually a negative aspect, but rather we are focusing on that what already organizations have, and based on these principles we can materialize, bank upon or cash upon those positive course. So, based on these principles, it can be stated that excessive focus on dysfunctions can actually cause organizations to become weak or worsen. Rather, arguing when all members of an organization are motivated to understand and value the most favorable features of its culture and make rapid improvements, because dealing in problem requires lot of time. Anything which is perfect and then adding more to it, that is more easy and most faster and rapid. So, this is the principle based on which appreciative inquiry can function. It is not only theoretical, it is a process. When a person indulges, then only it can be proved in any organization. So, this is something I have talked about appreciative inquiry based on the principles, how it functions. Next, I will talk about another aspect of appreciative inquiry, which I will continue in the next class. Thank you so much.